What's up, everybody? Here we are today with a deck from Fang. This is Fang's old Nod deck. So this is Seth, Laser Flame, Wheel Bike, Stank, Shade. I have never been a huge fan of this deck because I always thought it was pretty weak to Pitbull. Now that Stealth Tank doesn't one-shot Pitbull, it's even worse against Pitbull than it used to be. I mean, it's like Fnatic Stank, right? You put the Fanatics instead of the Flamey, you've got Fnatic Stank. And then, obviously, with the Stank nerf, that deck isn't really good anymore. There's been like a switch to Flamers here, but I think there's a lot wrong with this deck in the current metagame. I think that Seth is really underwhelming right now. I would not play Seth. And I don't think Shade's Stealth Tank is enough anti-vehicle. Like, neither of them are really... Shade is kind of a heavy hitter, but Stealth Tank isn't anymore, so you're just using basically just Shade. And Shade is very expensive. Shade is good for, like, when you need to kill a specific unit. Like MLRS or Giga. But I don't like Shade. I don't like Shade as your primary, like, anti-tank unit. I think it's quite easy to defend tanks from Shades if there's no other threat. Like, this deck doesn't really present any other threat to a tank. So anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to play a few games and we're going to mix it up a little. So I'm going to change the Shade out. I think like for sure a Giga or a Tick Tank or a Scorpion instead of the Shade is better. Like, I think Quad War Factory with Flamer is just better than the Shade build at the moment. I also, as I was saying, I think Seth is really poorly positioned at the moment because there's a lot of Inferno and Chuggy. So you make a Drill Pod and it gets killed instantly by an Inferno or a Chuggy. Like, that happens a lot. Seth is best when people are playing, like, Flamer mirror matches or people have, like, Laser on their back pad trying to hold. This is when you want, like, Seth is best. When people have roaming around with Infernos and Chuggy, Seth is very underwhelming. So... yeah, we'll mix and match a little bit. I suspect we'll take out the Shade after a couple of games, after just like getting a feel for the deck, you know. Then we'll swap the Shade out. Hopefully, it should be better without the Shade, and then most likely we'll also swap out the Seth because I think that Kayn and Oksana are both better right now. I think Oksana only really needs to go in a deck that has something you really want to boost though. So when we play Giga, it'll be an Oksana deck for sure. If we're playing Scorpion or Tick Tank, then it's more likely I want it to be a Kayn deck. I think Kayn is actually decent at the moment. I basically think GDI can't beat Kayn. Like, GDI's best unit at the moment, in my opinion, is Predator Tank, and it's the best hope that GDI has at winning games. And Kayn is so good versus Predator. So I do actually think that Kayn, especially when you're like a tank deck, if you have Tick Tank or Scorpion, Predator can be really good against you. So having Kayn as like a hard counter to those things. I mean, it's not a hard counter because you can... oh, hello. Hold on, chat, I need to pay attention. It's not really a hard counter because obviously like it doesn't stop them from making Predators forever, but it does shut down Predator for a little while. We're going to bounce this guy out for as long as possible. Alright, that looks like we've reached maximum time. We're going to need to move the Halve. It'll die incredibly quickly. We need to get up to Flamer money. We're almost there, though. There we go, there's Flamer. So that's going to be this rush beaten, pretty much. But yeah, if you don't want to... if you're losing to Predator tanks, then you really want to... God damn it. Run, Harvester, run. Yeah, if you're losing to Predator tanks, you can, like, just pop a Kayn right at the end of a missile, and then you win. This guy rushed, so he's unlikely to have... I'm going to go over here and block where the Harvester wants to go. He does have a half. Wow, I'm kind of surprised. Kind of surprised Jody has the half. I guess he didn't do a 2-building rush, he only did a 1-building rush. So it's not super expensive, but yeah, a little surprised he's already got the Harvester in position. Our Harvester will probably go down at some point in this game. It's low, so that's very likely to happen. But it looks like our opponent is going to throw a lot of resources into it. Right, we're just going to wait. We don't know if we need to go Shade or War Factory, so we're just going to chill for now. I could even try and just flame in his base to death. That might be kind of entertaining. I don't really know what this guy's up to. He doesn't seem to have a lot of options. I guess we'll just start flamering the base. Oh, there's the Temple of Nod, of course. What else would it ever be? Of course it's Temple of Nod. I mean, we'll just wait and see, but most tech units... Actually, I was gonna say most tech units lose to Shade. That's not even true anymore. Shade, with its damage reduction, doesn't, like, it doesn't two-shot a lot of the tech units that used to two-shot. So, needing a third hit for a lot of units is pretty bad. Like, this Widowmaker is actually kind of annoying. I don't have a tank to, like, hard counter it. I need to chip it down with bikes and stealth tanks and stuff, which sucks. And then there's a mutant behind it, so... Yeah. I mean, we're gonna win easily, because our opponent tried to rush us and failed, but... Like, killing that Widowmaker was not incredibly easy, which is... You don't want to be living in a world where Widowmaker is kind of a struggle. Once against Adrian. As a wheel opening deck, I should be opening wheels before Harvester, really, because we are technically weak to bike rushes. Like, that is a we could realistically be in trouble against rushes. I mean, it happened last game, right? It was we saw it coming, and it wasn't a big deal because the guy was in Diamond League and was doing a mutant rush, but it could have been a problem. I think War Factory is generally favoured against barracks openings, although I've noticed lately that I'm just bad at openings. I think I'm just bad at openings. I seem to lose with both sides. Although, normally with the War Factory, you pretty aggressively switch into Flamer. You just up a lot of economy when you're playing the War Factory opening against barracks, because the lasers cost so much more than the wheels and dogs. There's a Chuggy. We'll get some bikes up here. We'll hold the pads. There we go. Get the bikes in position. Get on this pad. Get bikes down here as well. With bikes on both. This is not a favoured position for me though. Like, the only reason Chuggy was kind of late. Chuggy laser beats Bike Flame for sure. So we were kind of late there, which was he was kind of late there getting the Chuggy out. But this looks like a bad matchup for us, and we don't really have a lot to switch into either. Like, we can go Shade, but that's not very good against Chuggy Laser. We can go Stealth Tank, also not good against Chuggy Laser. So if we were playing Tank or Giga, we'd have a lot more options here. But as it is, this just looks like a bad matchup. Like, this deck just looks bad versus Chuggy, which is not an acceptable position to be in the current metagame, because Chuggy is extremely popular. Like, being weak to Chuggy is a very, very bad place to be right now. My opponent is not properly defending his Chuggy, and I'm still struggling. Like, he's not even guarding the Chuggy well, and I'm still struggling to get to it. We've got one Chuggy kill. Feels good, man. I guess we'll make a Shade as well to diversify, force him into laser. I don't want him to play just mutant, so we'll make the Shade. Can't even hit it. This is, Raider is so OP. You just can't even hit the thing because they just put infantry all around it, so it's just always on top of an infantry. It's just incredibly difficult to get a unit in there. Here comes another Chuggy. Need the Shade to reload pretty quickly here. Another Chuggy. Okay, I think we're okay, but I mean, that was not a smooth ride at all. Being weak to Chuggy is a very, very bad place to be. I also I haven't used Seth yet. I've played 2 games, haven't used my commander power, which feels bad. Alright, this time we'll go wheel first. It's against GDI, so we actually even more don't need to go wheel first, because GDI doesn't have good rushes, but theoretically we should be going wheel first with a deck like this. Alright, well, he put his Harvester here, which is kind of an indicator that he might be going second half. And he's going to stall, so we're going to charge. Make a third wheel here. Did pull back a little bit to buy time, but it does also mean that we're not charging anymore, so it might have been an error. Not that we know... no, there it is. Okay, well, never mind. I was going to say not that we know he's double halved, but now he is. Now he is for sure. Let's get the Flamers. Interested to see what his answer to the Flamers is going to be. drones, that's fine. Bike flame beats drone missile pretty easily. It's not a problem. Get the lasers out. Although Orca is generally quite good against this deck because it's obviously a stealth tank deck rather than a phantom deck. So Orca is generally quite good against those. Got a fair amount of damage on the Orca. Alright, we'll just let the Orca trade for the bikes. And we'll finally get to use Seth. Oh dear. That's an awkward flip right there. That's really unfortunate. I don't really think there's anything I could have done there. Maybe I could have brought one of the flamers down. I just had too many flamers in the end. Alright, I'm gonna lose our harvester. Well, this is going pretty poorly. Juggernaut, yikes. We have Shade for Juggernaut, so we're not just like dead to Juggernaut. Although it shouldn't be, he probably can make another Juggernaut pretty easily. He's had the 2 harvesters for a while now. Alright. Oh. Not going great. Not a huge fan of this deck, I'll be honest. Not loving it. There's a Sandstorm, which is actually kind of problematic for me now. Oh dear. Oh no, my wheel's in the wrong place. Ah, I think I've thrown this game, chat. Yeah, I think I'm super dead. But I think it was probably on me. This didn't feel like a... This didn't feel like it was unwinnable. Oh, hang on, I got it anyway. Okay, cool. That was, yeah, that was a pretty big froze there. I mean, it wasn't really the deck's fault, although I am weak to Orca, but I'd probably be weak to Orca with almost any build here. Anyway, Seth, still not great, even in that game. Shade, really underwhelming. We're going to swap the Shade. We're going to start with the classic Quad War Factory, because this is still technically a Seth deck. Although I really want to play Kayn. I'm going to play like a couple of games with Seth, and then I'm going to play Kayn. I didn't utilize the tankiness of Marauders to take down enemy vehicles. Good tip, game. Okay, so I basically just cut the Shade and put in a Scorpion tank. I think this deck is pretty good. Like, this is just classic tank flamer. This is a strong deck. The biggest issue with this deck as stands is it's really bad against Predator tank. Like, really bad against Predator tank. Kind of bad versus Orca, but it's really bad versus Predator tank. So, I don't know if our opponent's going to have Predator tank, but if they do, it's going to be a really rough matchup. And this is why I think this deck should be playing Kayn. I wanted to stick with Seth at first, to sort of like discuss the Seth and talk about whether it's good or not and when it's good. But yeah, I think this deck should, like, if you're going to play this setup, which you shouldn't, by the way, you should play Kayn with it. I just wouldn't play this setup, but if you're going to, you should play Kayn. Alright, this was not the best sniper play. If he's playing snipers, it's very likely he has either Grens or Predator tank. Predator tank, like I said, really bad matchup for me. I'm gonna go stand outside his, oh, whoops. I was going to stand on the flamers, but then I moved off the pad, and now I don't know what I'm doing. I just migrated back and forth there. Once I was outside the base and he made the flamers, made the sniper, obviously I should have just stayed there and killed it. But then I was like, oh, I need to go back on the pad. And, you know, just not good play, really. Not good play all around. Kind of looks like he doesn't have Predator tank. The Drone Swarm as well. Okay, so is it like the Alicia deck? That deck definitely has Predator tank. Mohawk. Wow, okay, I have no idea. I literally, at this point I have no earthly idea what's in my opponent's deck. It's just a random collection of units, I think. We have Stealth Tank, so Mohawk is extremely bad versus my deck. Alright, yeah, I mean, this game's super over. Jump Jet as well. Okay, I just literally... I could have had a very long time guessing. Like, no matter how many chances you gave me to get this guy's deck, I don't think I would have got it. Like, I would have needed a lot of tries to guess that guy's deck. I don't think I used Seth again. Not that Kane would have been good in that matchup, but Seth definitely wasn't. Alright, well, same guy. I'm gonna assume same matchup. We could even open Flamer, since we know he's gonna open missiles, almost certainly. It's kind of insane, but I'm gonna do it. You know, I just wanna see what happens. I think our matchup is just extremely good because we have Stealth Tank versus Mohawk, basically. Mohawk first unit. Wow, that was unexpected. I guess he expected me to open Wheel. A pretty wild first unit, not gonna lie. Alright, well, whatever. I wonder if Mohawk first is even good against Barracks, or even good against my War Factory opening. That Mohawk, I don't think it's fired a shot yet. Wow, that's gotta feel bad. I might get flipped here. Oh no, we got the Stealth Tank now, which should be fine. Yeah, it's real hard to win with Mohawk decks against Stealth Tank decks. Stealth Tank one-shotting Mohawk is just such a beating for Mohawk. It's basically the reason that Mohawk is not very good. Although, I mean, I guess this guy's deck has Sniper Pitbull and Drone Swarm Jump Jet. So he can play either of those combos. But that's probably his entire game plan, right? With his deck, he plays one of those two things, depending on what he's against. I need to make some lasers to stop him from spamming only drones and jump jets. Hey, we're finally gonna use the set. Feels good, man. Alright, Seth was these. Feels good. This is a pretty wild deck from our opponent though. I don't know if this is a good indicator of Seth being strong, but if you're against Drone Swarm Jump Jet, Seth is pretty useful because you can just get an extra Flamer at some point. Going up one unit is pretty helpful. I'm gonna do a little bit of Giga now, Giga Roxana. Alright, so now we're doing Giga. This is a pretty solid deck. This is just like a pretty standard Giga deck, honestly. Like, it's pretty standard Giga Flame. I don't think it's as good as Giga Chuggy. Like, I think Chuggy instead of Flamer as your anti-infantry is better, because Chuggy's just broken. But it's a pretty solid deck. Tick Chuggy, is it dead to Giga? So the Tick Chuggy deck, the one that I like playing is the Andrew one, which has it has Kane and Shade. So, wow, look at that algorithm, chat. We play Giga, we immediately get MLRS. Yeah, so it plays Kane and Shade, so I don't think it just auto-loses to Giga. But obviously, Giga is a bad matchup. You don't want to play against Giga when you're playing a tank deck. But it does have outs. Oh, there's some shock troopers. I guess we're making Flamers, although this is not going to end great for me because there's 2 shocks already. Any more flamers. Yeah, that's not good. That's really bad, actually. I can't really push him with the wheels either, because obviously he's got the MLRS. Although that is what I have to do. I am going to just kind of lose this missile, I think. There's not a lot that can be done about that. I didn't play the flamers well. MLRS, I mean, it's a bad matchup for Giga, that's for sure. It's one of the few things that it kind of beats Giga. It doesn't beat Chuggy is the thing. So if I was playing Chuggy Giga, I would probably still be favored. I'm not even sure that MLRS really does beat Giga, because you can sit like 2 tiles away and plink. And then because of the split fire, the MLRS has to move back. And then you have time to, then you can build other things. Interesting. That seems like a problem. Yeah, if I'd lost my Giga there, that would have sucked. I need to get rid of some of these units, honestly. Yeah, I didn't play this one great, and now we're dead. Could have probably played this one a lot better. Then I might not be dead, but kind of just threw it. It wasn't a good matchup for us, but obviously, like, just because it's a bad matchup doesn't mean you should lose it all the time. Like when he made shocks, I should have just given up the missile instead of throwing away too much money on flamers. Yeah, that was pretty poorly played. Bounty complete. 3, 2, 1. I feel like this guy's got disconnected with that long a load time.
Harvester ready. Harvester moving. Ready to serve.
Okay, he hasn't disconnected? What the hell? It's like the longest load time ever. He did just randomly build an air tower though. That was a little weird. Didn't show him the wheels, but it's too late now. I think I just did.
Ready to roll. Revving the end. Your command. Gonna brain him. Unit offline. Boyka ready to roll.
He...
Revving the engine. Warhead launched. Burning rubber. Unit ready. Revving the gonna brain him. Your command. Advancing. Boyka ready to roll.
There's a lot of missile troopers. I guess that is what one does when one is behind. Make a lot of missiles and lasers. He's actually shooting the bikes the whole time. That's kind of a beating. This game is kind of a non-game. It kind of looked like our opponent took ages to join and accidentally built an air tower. So, hasn't really been a proper game. Yeah, not really much to say about that one. Kind of dumb.
Enemy base destroyed.
GJFR, alright. Playing McNeil. McNeil's pretty unusual. McNeil makes me think no half, but obviously there is a harvester. No opening building yet. Interesting. Just gonna wait, see what he does. Factory, alright. MSV first unit. Wow, this could be a horrible matchup. If he's going MSV first unit, he's pretty likely to have an MLRS. Which is definitely not something we want to fight. Yep. This is a bad matchup again. Can't really put the Giga anywhere. Against it's even worse. I mean, it's pretty bad against MLRS, but against boosted MLRS, it's absolutely horrible. Shoot across the missile. Kill bad man. Now we got some space. We can move the Giga up. Get rid of the MSV. I mean, opening MSV is just insanity. Like, in a world where opening MSV works, like, that's just that game would be horrendous. That would be so bad. Like, if MSV opening was legit, this game would be so bad. It'd just be the worst game ever. No, we didn't quite get the MLRS, sadly, but we'll get it in a second. Hey, there we go. Alright, I'm gonna make some more Giga Cannons. I just surrenders. Sure. That's not a good matchup for me, but like if you had dogs to block or whatever, then just going MSV first unit is absolute madness. Alright, I couldn't bring myself to play any more of that Giga deck. It's just so much worse than playing the good Giga deck with the I shouldn't actually let him 2v1 my wheels because he'll win. Yeah, the Giga deck with Chuggy is just dramatically better, so we're gonna play the Quad War Factory with Kayn. I think if you're gonna play the Quad War Factory deck, Kayn is the best commander for sure. I'm not really sure why I built another wheel. I guess there's one more vision. There's some bikes. That's not great for me. Actually, no, bikes is fine because we can make a tank. Tank pretty good versus bikes. Giga Cannon, alright. Move the lasers up. Get aggressive on this Giga Cannon. Nice. Killed the first Giga Cannon pretty comfortably. That's a pretty big deal if you can keep stopping them from setting up Giga Cannons. That matters quite a lot. We have obelisk money now as well. I'm probably going to make another Scorpion though. Alright, let's get aggressive on this thing. We'll try and get as many lasers onto it as we can. If we kill this one, it's huge. Oh, he's playing the Giga deck. The Giga Chuggy deck is insanely good. We just snipe this Giga Cannon if possible. So we're going to just Kayn out, I think. Gonna move units in to make sure we maintain vision. You need to have vision. Yeah, there we go. You need to have vision to kill the obelisk. To kill the Giga. Once you're locked on, it will guaranteed kill it as long as you maintain vision. And as you can see here, if we had Seth, Seth would have been a lot harder than Kayn. Kayn was pretty great there. Pretty happy with having Kayn in that one. Like, the first Giga we dislodged, the second Giga lived with like 1 hit point, and we basically never would have broken it again. Like, that was it. We were never killing that Giga Cannon. We were just going to lose to it without Kayn. So. Alright, Kayn Mirror. Pretty exciting.
Glory to Nod! Kayn lives! Worthy of a promotion.
No idea what I'm going to be
I
playing.
will remember that. A primitive strategy. You can't kill the Messiah.
Hopefully, I mean, he wouldn't play Giga without Oksana, right? That'd be insane. What's he saving for? Tank, maybe? Yeah, okay. He's gone straight into tank, so we're gonna have a tank mirror match, it looks like. I will also make my tank. I'm just looking to make another tank here. for playing tank mirror. Obelisk? Okay. That means to start running away. We'll lose one tank, that's it. It's not a big deal. And then we just won't go near it again. Let him fire the obelisk though.
Fire the obelisk! Mistakes are punished.
I just wanted him to get to fire the obelisk, you know? You know how it is, chat. Yeah, I think he probably misclicked the obelisk. He probably wanted it like way further forwards, so it like trapped my tanks. But yeah, a little bit too far back, and that's gonna be game over.
Defense online.
I'll show you the light.
Missile cancelled.
Use obelisk to kill obelisk. Truly the dream. Obelisk docking. Nothing better than obelisk docking. Yeah, I mean, again, Seth would not have been very helpful here. Like, Kayn was way better.
Enemy base destroyed.
I think Kayn is much better than Seth right now. Let's have a look at his deck. Oh wow, that's a pretty wild deck. Okay, well, we played a few games. We played around with some different things. Of the decks we played, I think the Giga this deck I think actually is it's just so underwhelming. Like, this deck is so much worse than this deck. There's just no reason to play it. This deck is so much better. But the problem is that like this deck I think is still worse than this deck. And then they're all worse than this deck. So the problem is, like, why play anything except one of the 3 Chuggy decks? Because they're all really good. Like, these are like these 3 decks are the 3 decks I primarily play, and they're all super good. But if you really don't want to play Chuggy, if you really don't want to play Chuggy at all, you're like, I just hate Chuggy, then Quad War Factory is a respectable choice. There's also other decks you can do. You can do like Chem Tank, you can do like Venom decks. But Chuggy decks are definitely top tier at the moment. They're the best ones. This Shade deck that we started with, I think this deck is really bad at the moment. I think it's really poorly positioned. I would not play this deck unless someone paid me money. That's the level of the, like, I would never play this deck for fun. I don't think this deck is like remotely viable competitively at the moment. I think it's a real sketcher. Sad to say. I mean, it's just Fnatic Stank, right? Like, it's people trying to live the glory days of Fnatic Stank, but Fnatic Stank's dead. Get over it. Time to switch deck. Alright, I hope you guys enjoyed that one, and I'll see you next time.